The 2021 NBA rookie class has been unbelievable, and if you were to give the entire class as a whole a grade, it would have to be an A+. But in this video, I wanted to go through specifically the top picks in the draft and give them a report card grade for their first full season in the NBA. Really quickly though, I wanted to thank Let's Get Checked for sponsoring this video. Maybe you're watching this video and you're someone that's putting the time into the gym, doing the right things, but for whatever reason, you feel like you aren't seeing results. Before you think about a new diet or routine, I want to talk to you about your testosterone. Now, yes, low testosterone is something that is more common the older you get, but it can affect men of any age. For example, I'm 26 and I'm going to get a test taken just because I want to know if this is something that's holding me back. And this could be caused by multiple things, including a lack of a hormone called SHGB that is responsible for carrying testosterone through your bloodstream. And if that is low, you could feel the effects of low testosterone. And if you're concerned about how this could be affecting your results in the gym or in other areas of your life, Let's Get Checked is the worldwide leader in at-home testing kits. It's delivered to your door in discreet packaging, and once you send it back, it is reviewed by a fully accredited staff, and the online results are returned within 2 to 5 days. So if you want to check your hormone levels without leaving your home, check out the link in the description for a special offer, 30% off your test when you use code SL30. And thank you again to Let's Get Checked for sponsoring this video. And we're going to begin with the first overall pick in the draft, Cade Cunningham. Now this might be a bit of a surprise for some of you, but I'm going to give him a B+. And it's not because I thought he was bad. I actually really like Cade Cunningham. And I think moving forward into the future, once he gets better players around him, his all-around game is really going to start to shine. I think the thing that makes him special is the fact that he can fit in a variety of different ways. He can be an on-ball guy. He can be an off-ball guy. He can space. He can create. He's got great size. I think long-term, if he commits to it, he could be pretty good defensively as well. The only reason that I'm kind of docking him a few points here is because in the beginning of the year, he was hurt and he struggled. And relative to your expectations for the #1 overall pick in a draft, you would have liked for him to be a little bit more explosive, a little bit more exciting. But I think in the long term, the value of him as the first pick in this class is going to be revealed. But if you're going to get an A+ as the first overall pick, you need to have a great first overall pick season. And I don't think Cade quite lived up to those expectations. Next up now is one of my favorite rookies from the class, and it's Josh Giddey. He's also going to be getting an A+. And relative to his draft position, he was better than I expected him to be. He was kind of outside of the top group that people expected to be really good in this draft pre-draft, but about a third of the way through the season, it was revealed that this guy's going to be really, really good. He's an incredible playmaker. He's someone that can get to the rim way easier than I thought that he would be able to. I think there's some defensive ability there as well. His fit alongside Shea is really interesting. The only reason that he gets a B+ here is because I'm concerned about the long-term outlook for him as an off-ball player. If he doesn't improve as a floor spacer, if he doesn't improve as someone that's going to be able to space, it's going to be an issue for him throughout the entirety of his career. We've seen this with guys where you can be a really good on-ball playmaker, but if you're not one of the top level guys that needs the basketball in their hands all the time, and you can't space off the ball, it's really difficult to find a fit. Now, that isn't as much of an issue for him in Oklahoma City because him and Shea both can kind of alternate in that capacity, but I do have concerns long-term about his ability to be a floor spacer. That's the only reason he gets a B+ grade here, because relative to his draft expectation, he exceeded those. Next up now is our first A+ of the video, and it's Evan Mobley. I really didn't know what to expect out of him coming out of the draft. He seemed like almost kind of the mystery guy of this class. We kind of knew that the two guards were going to go ahead of him, and he was unbelievable. And if I had to pick one player that I'd want on my team for the next 10 years out of this class, it's probably Evan Mobley for a variety of different reasons. Not only because of what he showed this year as a rookie, as with someone with more scoring ability than I thought that he would. He was incredible defensively, but the uniqueness of his skill set, I think, is what makes him special. I think truly he can play at the 4 long term rather than having to be a full-time 5. And that increasingly is becoming something we're seeing more and more. When you're thinking about guys like Jaren Jackson in Memphis, we're seeing teams play 2 bigs or 2 guys that are at least relatively bigger more and more often. I think Evan Mobley is going to fit really well into that kind of next version of the NBA. And the uniqueness of his skill set, there's guards in every draft class. There's not Evan Mobley's in every draft class. He was incredible. He's the guy I would pick out of anyone else. Next up now, unfortunately, is our worst grade of the video, and it's Jalen Suggs. He gets a C-, and at certain points, you might argue that I'm being a little bit kind to him for that grade. He was someone that in college I really, really liked, and I was surprised that he ended up being selected where he was with Scottie Barnes going ahead of him. Obviously, in hindsight, that ends up being exactly the correct pick, and I'm willing to give him the benefit of the doubt given his situation in Orlando this year, where there's some offensive creators there, but there's not going to be a ton of space. It's not an ideal opportunity for you to showcase your skills as a rookie. But really my concerns for him are athletically. Because, for example, someone we're going to talk about later, Jonathan Kuminga, there were times where he struggled this year with the pace of the game and understanding what was happening and being a little bit lost defensively, but he looked like he belonged as an athlete. He looked like he had this ceiling where you could see him becoming a really productive NBA player a couple of years from now. The problem with Jalen Suggs is he could get more skilled. He could get better as a basketball player, but at a certain point, if you're just not quick enough and you're not big enough, your ceiling is going to be limited at the NBA level. And I've made this comparison for him before. Even if he like maxes out what he could be skill-wise, he's probably Fred VanVleet, which is no disrespect to VanVleet. He's an all-star this year, but that's the best case scenario for him. And to show that as a rookie is a little bit concerning. Maybe he figures it out more defensively, provides a ton of value as a two-way player, but given the strength of this draft class overall and where he was drafted, it definitely was a disappointing season. Now we get to probably the most controversial rookie of the entire draft class, and it's Jalen Green. I'm going to give him a B+ for a similar reason that I gave Cade a B+. Both of them got off to slower starts, and then Jalen Green specifically after the All-Star break was unbelievable and showed all of the explosiveness and the playmaking and the ability to get to the rim that we hope to see out of him for the entirety of the year. It's just, again, relative to the strength of this draft class, you would have liked for him and Cade to have slightly better seasons as the first and second picks in this class, and so that's why he got a B+. There were players picked after Cade and after Jalen that had better seasons than they did, and that's why they get a B+ rather than an A or an A+. The real long-term concern for me for him is, given his size, he's going to be a backcourt guy, he's going to be a 1 or a 2, and if he's not a better playmaker long-term as an assist guy, that's going to concern me, just because the history of slightly shorter 2 guards being really good on successful teams, the list of that is not very long, but that's really my only concern for him long-term. Athletically, he fits, he's clearly very skilled, he's explosive. I just kind of want to see that long-term fit with him potentially as a 2 guard moving forward. Next up now is actually the best rookie on the Orlando Magic, and it's Franz Wagner. He's getting an A+. I mean, relative to his draft position, the production he provided to this Orlando team, and again, in the same situation that Jalen Suggs was in, where it wasn't always a great offensive environment to be in, and the lineups were weird, and the spacing wasn't great, Wagner looked like a player that belonged. He looked like someone that is going to be able to survive on the wing and guard there. He can play in the front court at the 4 as well. He can shoot, he can play make, he can rebound, he can score individually. There's nothing he can't do on the floor. To show that much of an all-around game was incredible for him. It's not something I expected. I didn't know what his fit was going to be at the NBA level when he was drafted. And to me, him, as well as one of the other guys we're going to talk about the rest of the way here, him and Scottie Barnes kind of fall into the same category, where it's just like, put them on, they're just basketball players. Like, don't give them a position, don't give them a role, just tell them to go out there and play, and they're going to be unbelievable. And that was not my expectation level for Wagner whatsoever. Second to last now is, of course, the rookie of the year from this class, and it's Scottie Barnes. And I've talked about this multiple times, so forgive me for repeating myself here. But not only did he have an incredible year, but you could argue that he went to the best possible scenario and situation for him, because I'd say about 25 other teams in the league, if they had gotten Scottie Barnes, they would have just had him sit in the corner, work on his corner threes, defend on each, defend on the defensive end of the floor, and try and make him into a wing 3-and-D guy. Toronto gave him the basketball increasingly as the season went on and said, run the offense, score, facilitate, use your size at the elbows. And it was incredible to watch him grow and develop into that kind of player, because we'd gotten kind of rumors from his days in college that that was something that he was capable of, but it wasn't something that I expected to see out of him either as a rookie or for the entirety of his career. Nick Nurse and that Raptors team did a fantastic job, as they always seem to do, of investing in what's going to make Scottie Barnes a better player long term, not necessarily thinking so short-sightedly about what's going to help us this season. If Scottie Barnes is just going to stand in the corner and shoot threes and defend, he's going to be a very efficient rookie. They said, let's allow him to grow into something that he could be even better than just an off-ball spacer guy. That results in him winning the rookie of the year. And again, if you're just ranking players that I would like to have out of this class moving forward, I would go Mobley 2, and then Barnes, and then probably Cade after that, and then everybody else kind of feels in a slightly different category than those 3 guys. But for Scottie Barnes to go from a late draft riser to getting picked ahead of Jalen Suggs, surprisingly on draft night, to the rookie of the year, sky's the limit for this guy. The ceiling is incredible, and I can't wait to see what he continues to develop into. And then last up is a guy that realistically, like he could be the best player out of this entire class long term, and it's Jonathan Kuminga. When you talk about someone that's a late riser in Scottie Barnes, the opposite end of the spectrum was true for Jonathan Kuminga pre-draft. He quickly became a guy that people were penciling in to get selected with Orlando's second pick in the top 10, where he was going to go to Jonathan Isaac land, and he was just going to be a weird tweener forward that was all athlete, didn't actually know how to play basketball, and was not someone that really fit in the modern NBA. And 10 years from now, he was going to be a decent defensive wing that couldn't really shoot, and that was going to be his long-term outlook. And then he goes to Golden State, and just like Scottie Barnes, goes to a perfect situation where he doesn't have to get rushed onto the floor, and everything that he does is just positive. Just be a maniac, run around, create chaos, be smart on the offensive end, and that's exactly what he did. And in doing that, my confidence level in him being a winning player long-term increased a ton. We've seen great athlete players struggle in this Golden State system. For example, James Wiseman before, when he was healthy, it was clear he didn't understand what was happening on the floor, and that's understandable. That's fine as a rookie. You're going to be confused. Kuminga looked confused at times, especially defensively, but he looked like he belonged. It looked like his basketball IQ was way higher than I thought it was going to be based off what he had shown in the G League the year before. I'm really excited about what he could be, whether it be in Golden State or if they decide to move him as an asset to extend this championship window. Defensively, he can very easily be an all-NBA level player. And offensively, the skill set is there if he can continue to grow and develop his outside shot. I think the sky's the limit for Jonathan Kuminga. I'm going to give him an A just because his overall production wasn't fantastic, but relative to the expectations that I had for him, he had a really, really great rookie year. And those are my full grades for the 2021 rookie class.